Hey guys, we're Krabby Critics, and today we're going to be doing a non-spoiler review on Kingsman: The Golden Circle.
Kingsman: The Golden Circle takes us back to our favorite British Secret Service agents and the sort of hijinks they get into. This time, as seen in the trailer, things get a bit haywire, their buildings are destroyed, and they have to go to their American cousins, the Statesmen. Meeting the Statesmen, they go through and do a whole saving the world bit like they did in the last film.
So what are your guys' thoughts on the movie? Like, how'd you like it, and what were your kind of little opinions about it?
I thought it was ultimately okay. It was good entertainment.
Right.
Just don't go to it for more than that, honestly.
I gotta say, this year in general, I've seen more movies I've deemed bad. I'm usually not somebody to deem a movie bad. Like, I really like going into a movie just to have fun. I don't, like, go in with my expectations too high. I thought this movie did exactly what it was supposed to.
Yeah.
I don't think, like, the first Kingsman, the reason why it was so fun is because no one was expecting it really to be good, and it came out an entertaining movie about spies playing on those old spy movie tropes that people liked seeing in the old James Bond and like Austin Powers, and diving in deep with a new modern version of that spy movie. This one, they had to take a step up, right? They couldn't they couldn't bring back that fire they had in the beginning, because with the beginning, everyone had that sort of nostalgia towards old spy movies and old things like that.
And I think the first one actually felt, more like a spy movie. Like, it felt more spyish. And I was kind of, when I was watching the movie, I thought it felt like a little bit more, like, comical in a way. Like, it felt kind of comic book-like. I think it was because of the gadgets they were using and stuff like that. But I think the one thing, I can't really down it for that, though, for being different and doing something new, because I think it knew exactly what it was. It was very self-aware.
Yes,
I think it knew that it wasn't trying to be just like the first movie. It was taking it a step forward. I mean, it knew exactly what it was going for.
I mean, and out of all the movies I've seen this year, like, this one completely outranks Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, because that was a bad movie. The only redeeming quality of that movie was the special effects, in my opinion. And The Dark Tower, like, this completely rocketed above The Dark Tower to me in a lot of ways. I feel like it knowing what it was doing, it being able to bring that funny, like, bringing humor and evolving humor and trying different things, in my personal opinion, made it stand out and do better overall as a movie. There were parts where I was like, oh, Kingsman, you're straight goofy. But there wasn't anything where I was like, all right.
What did you think of it?
Well, I thought it was more of just like, kind of like what you're saying. It's more of like an entertainment thing. I felt the first movie had a lot to bring to the table because it was bringing more of a different spy movie than what we're used to seeing. It had a lot of elements of just more of, like you were saying earlier, like more of like the modern things and just more of the things that are like cool to us like nowadays. And in the year it came out, it was actually like everything was just like completely up to date, just like how this one kind of is, with just like the branding and just everything like that. And I thought it was kind of like a cool, like, new sort of recreation of like these old spy movies that would give you this nostalgia, but it feels a little bit more like a cool and like a classy sort of spy movie. Of course, it is rated R, so it's not necessarily like full, like, straight arrow class, but it's like it's got a lot of funny entertainment and a lot of really cool action sequences I thought I saw in it. I feel like with the first movie, they had a lot of the introduction of a lot of really cool gadgets, and this movie it really didn't have like many. I was like expecting more gadgets. Like, you would usually think in like a sequel to a spy movie there would be a little bit more introduced, but I feel like this movie really, it had its gadgets and it had its moments, but there were like just some funny parts with them, and there was just like, some really cool action sequences.
They weren't like grounded gadgets. They were very like I said, comic book
Yeah,
like, very
exactly.
kind of superhero like. Expand on what you thought of it. I guess you said you didn't.
I mean, I personally think that this movie was in every way a downgrade from the first one, honestly. Though I did really enjoy the action sequences and whatnot because there's that certain style that Kingsman has, which I think is a great style. It's really entertaining. It was just like, I honestly kind of felt like even the action scenes, like they kind of went more out there with the first one. I almost felt like it kind of felt a little PG-13, you know? And the fact that it was rated R, you think that it would have been, as far as the action goes.
Like I said, I enjoyed it. I thought I walked into it with kind of I had seen some reviews prior to this, so I guess I walked into it with kind of knowing in some way what it was going to be. I knew it wasn't going to fully take itself seriously. It was going to do some things that you're kind of like, I don't necessarily buy that. In the first movie, though, they had the church scene where it was like the camera going slow motion, fast motion, you know, zooming in, zooming out, that sort of thing. They did that, and for that one scene, it was awesome. Totally worked. In this movie, though, in like every single action scene, it was doing that. It was jarring to me. I was just like, it was cool in the opening scene, and even then, it got kind of old just within that scene, because it made it just seem extremely like fake and just not like like
the movie saw it was the first one. It was like. Everybody loved that scene. Everybody with the scene they were talking about. What if we turn this scene into all of the action scenes?
Yeah, I mean, you know, while the action was fun, that aspect of it was just jarring. It was
I got a little burnt out on those scenes.
Yeah, it got old very quick.
That was one of the things with like, it was very not realistic.
Yeah.
Like, yes, the first one, it was kind of obvious with some things. Like, yeah, you accepted it, though. This one pushed it with the not realistic part. Because, like, you see in the trailer when he's, like, on the car and he jumps up
in the
and
door.
he's back.
Yeah.
That would not happen.
And you could tell it was 100% like just CGI heavy when they did that. And I know it was just kind of like, but I don't know. I feel, you know, and then even like there were certain things in the movie where you're just like, there's absolutely no way that would happen. But I feel like with a movie where there's laser lassos and and you know, just that sort of thing, I feel like you can just accept it just like you would a James Bond movie. Like when you watch some of the old James Bond movies, you're like, there is no way that would happen, but you accept it because you're having fun with the movie, which is why I actually enjoyed this movie. I thought it was fun. It's definitely a fun movie. Great. Now,
well, there's just more things where, like with the first Kingsman, there was you accepted it, but there were several moments where it actually kind of took me out of the movie just to be like, wait, what?
I mean, personally though, I feel like if we went back, like if the directors of those old James Bond movies came and were like, oh, I can put this in my movie, old James Bond movies would have been filled with the same special effects that the Kingsman had. Yeah. Like, it's that part of the appeal of those movies, like, are all the wacky gadgets they have and all the effects. And if you could go back and as a director be like, oh, I can make this more wild and make James Bond even more of this crazy suave,
because
crazy.
It was all about the
high-tech.
gadgets. Yeah, all about the gadgets. Because Q would give him some gadgets, and it'd be like, and he would just conveniently have the gadgets that he needed to get out of a situation. It's kind of it definitely would have been like that.
As far as special effects, action, that definitely I would say is still the strongest thing that this movie had. It was very entertaining in that sense. My main gripe with the movie is the plot. I felt that the plot was trying to be smart, but it wasn't. That was the vibe I got from it, like the whole time.
Very predictable at times.
Yeah.
So with all of this kind of being said, and after kind of like your initial thoughts and everything throughout the movie, and going into the movie, and then coming out, like, what were your thoughts after coming out of the movie, and what would you rate it?
I feel like it's fitting because of how cheesy this movie was, and yet self-aware. And my rating is self-aware. 6.9.
Going for the odd numbers here. All right.
I like that.
Mainly because what ultimately took it down was the plot. Because, like I said,
Maybe because 69.
it felt weird. I feel like that is just because I don't want to rate it 7, but yet it wasn't terrible to be a 6.
Yeah, I get you.
It just the plot. I felt like they were trying a little too hard to say something, and when you see the movie, you'll know what I mean. And it just felt odd. It didn't really feel like it fit all that well, and I felt like it was kind of a similar plot to the first one, but then a downgrade as well. However, the movie was entertaining, and I do believe that if you like the first one, you should definitely still see this one. It is still good and entertaining.
Would you see it in theaters, or would you wait?
If you saw the first one and you liked it, I would recommend to see it in theaters because of those cool action scenes are definitely worth it to see on the big screen.
Levi, how about you? What's your rate?
I think I'm feeling probably a 7.5. I think it's definitely above average. I think if it felt like it was trying to take itself seriously while having those kind of comical elements, I would have probably lowered my grade a little bit and not enjoyed it as much. But knowing you can feel like it knows what it's trying to be, and it's definitely self-aware, I think it deserves a 7.5. I think that it's a very fun movie. If you liked the first one, definitely go see it in theaters. I think it's good.
It's good. So what do you think about the movie?
I don't know. I go to the movies to have fun, to take me out of reality as much as possible. I felt like this movie did just that. I would say probably high sevens. I'd give it a 7.5 because it didn't break any grounds cinematically. It didn't push anything along. But it was a sequel to an already good movie, and it wasn't a bad sequel. There are plenty worse sequels out there. I think it did what it needed to do. It entertained me. If you like the first one, see it in theaters. If you're looking for a date night and you and your significant other likes raunchy humor, or you're bored with some bros, go see it. But otherwise, if you are hesitant about seeing it in theaters, probably don't need to. This movie would, I think, be a good experience, and maybe even a more fun experience if you got like 7 people together, movie night at somebody's house. Just like big movie night.
7 people.
7 people. 7.5 people together. Big movie night, just being able to like throw your own jokes in the mix. It's fun, but unless you are dying to see it, I wouldn't say it's a necessity.
I guess I would probably rate it more of like a high 7 like you guys would. I would rate it that, except for the fact that I did think it was very predictable in a lot of scenes in the movie. And I felt like it was just way too it was just too much like a lot of action movies that I have seen, and I have seen a lot of action movies, so it's like I would probably rate it like maybe a 7. And mainly, of course, the main reason behind that is because of how predictable a lot of scenes were. And I felt like it was kind of cheesy, but at the same time, I would rate it a 7 and not lower, because I still feel that it holds, and I still feel that it's a fun, and it's very cool, and very classy, really kind of like a really like chilled kind of a movie.
Fun movie.
It's just I just think it's a fun movie. Kind of what Oliver was saying. I feel like if you would kind of, I guess the consensus here is the fact that if you've seen the first one, or if you're looking to kind of hang out with some guys, or if you enjoy raunchy humor, and then with your significant other,
Don't ever say that. Yeah.
then you can go ahead. I mean, why not? But I mean, other than that, if you're like you guys were kind of saying, if you are a little bit hesitant and you do feel like I don't know about this one, then it's probably not necessary to see it. I mean,
It's a viable sequel.
right.
As a standalone movie, probably would have been lower.
Did exactly what I wanted it.
Did exactly what it was
did
supposed to do.
As a sequel.
Anyways, that was our spoiler-free review on Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Click the description down below, or click on the annotation, and it will bring you to the actual spoiler part of our review, and more of an in-depth sort of review of the entire movie. But yeah, go ahead and like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. That's not fine.
Meow 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 meow. Come here, meow meow.
That's a little too far.
Meow. Meow meow.
It's gonna go right to Oliver.
It always happens. So it's like the cat's like, why this guy not touching me?
I need to cheer him up.
Why is this person just avoiding me?
He seems a little sad.